Hey everyone, welcome to episode number 25. As our guest said, a quarter of the world of season two of the World of Presentations podcast brought to you by us at 356 Labs. Today, obviously my name is Boris. For those of you who are listening to this one, you know that, but you may also know our guest. This is the first guest. Let me just say that out loud, Verineia. This is the first guest that is a repeating guest. Okay, so you are the first guest that is visiting this podcast, if we can say it this way, for a second time. Verineia, welcome back. Welcome back.
Wow. Thank you. I am pleased and I'm very honored to hear that. I didn't know I am the only one that is a repeating guest. I absolutely love what you're doing and I'm very honored to be here on the podcast again.
Yeah, by the way, it is struck me that you are the first repeating, but yeah, that's why I didn't say it and mention it to you before we started the recording. But yeah, feel privileged, feel blessed if you want. I don't know. so something like this. So we have I would say, not a very long history together with you, but we have some history together. Obviously, very much related to eating incredible food. But let's not get in there, as you said, before we hit the record button, because it can get very, very problematic for many, many reasons. For those of the listeners that haven't heard still the first episode where you visited us and you talked about presentations and all of those stuff, let us know just a little bit of intro, like very short background yet again for second time.
Absolutely. Well, my name is Verineia, as you already introduced me, and I am the founder of a really cool agency called Speech Architects, which basically does a really great way in helping people to deal with their storytelling, deal with their public speaking, and encourage people that are really brilliant and have fantastic stories to tell to come and be more confident, either it's a crowd of one or a crowd of 100, to deliver their message with impact and lasting memories. So we work with anyone from startup founders to engineers to corporate managers that really have that fantastic message that they need to deliver, and they really need a little bit of a help, a little bit of a hand holding when it comes to deliver that really great story.
Clear. So for those of you who still who didn't know about Verineia, here you have it. Now, now, obviously it's not obvious. Let's stop here. You are going to be one of the speakers at Present to Succeed, which I'm super thankful for that you accepted to join us for a very interesting session. We don't want to talk about the conference, even though for whoever is listening to this one and still doesn't have a ticket, that's a big mistake, I would say. Correct that, fix this, presenttosucceed.com. Now, to be completely honest, we haven't even talked about this podcast episode. You just said that you have done something really cool in regards to storytelling, and you threw that idea, hey, let's discuss this on the podcast. So we decided to do that, and maybe by saying that, we should start the discussion in regards to what have you done that's related to storytelling. What's happening?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, I wanted to tell you that I'm absolutely stoked for the event that is coming in April. You guys are pulling a major event, and I can imagine how, what an effort that is, but in the same time, what a great service to really give people the ropes, the techniques, the strategies that they need to really present to succeed. So I'm very, very stoked to be one of the speakers. So thank you for thinking of me and including
Absolutely.
me. And when it comes to this subject that you mentioned, indeed, I had a really great experience. As mentioned before, I work quite a lot with storytelling. However, we work in a very long format, so to speak. And as far as it goes to storytelling, a lot of people feel intimidated because they feel that, okay, if it comes to storytelling, either for my brand or for myself, I really need to think of this very elaborate storytelling format. And that's fine because we teach that. However, it happens something really cool with everyone staying at home or spending a lot of time on their mobile phones.
Yeah.
There was a really cool trend emerging, and especially on one of the unusual platforms, TikTok, which means that it
Okay.
started with this very fun, sort of people dancing on it and just for teenagers platform. Later on, emerging into some of the great experts take from nuclear energy to finances to anything that comes to your mind being present on the platform. So either is Washington Post, a very well-respected publication, to World Health Organization, to,
Mm.
as I mentioned, to scientists that are coming on the platform to explain very, very complex terminology in 60 seconds or less.
Okay. Are you on TikTok?
Okay, so I am not on TikTok
I'm also not.
as putting content. However, I am following a fantastic lineup of experts in various fields. So when people are telling me that isn't TikTok just for dancing and funny videos, the algorithm is so insanely clever that once you start to engage with the content that you like, it
Mm.
starts to feed you only the topics that you are interested in.
Yeah,
And
obviously.
that's mind-blowing, because whereas you're on Instagram, you'll mostly follow what you're interested in. But TikTok has one more added value, which it starts to think, what else would you be interested in? And there has been some topics that I never even thought of that came into my feed and blew my mind.
Okay.
That's why. So when it came to this, I had a client not long ago, a few months ago, that wanted to engage in a storytelling workshop, but he was mentioning that, I mean, it's too much to say that you want to sit down someone and tell them in 20 minutes your storytelling. And
Yep.
then with all this coming on, we realized that we are competing not only against those that are directly our competitors, and it was an acquisition group, which is, like they do acquisitions for some fail business or businesses that are out of that cannot succeed and are closing down. They purchase them, and they were thinking, this is not how we can actually tell our story in a very, very short, captivating, and engaging way. Can you
Okay.
help us? Because we know about all this hero's journey that everyone know of Joseph Campbell, like this
Mm.
whole wheel, of one of the heroes that he encounters, like a problem or a massive challenge. Then he has somebody that is a wise man advising, then he finds a solution. All that is fine and dandy. How do we do that in a one liner? Because
Okay.
as I mentioned, we have all this massive competition, and they even mentioned in passing, we saw this really cool. It was like in the, I think Andrew Yang, he explained his idea of universal income, like this basic universal income, in 60 seconds for Washington Post. And it was very interesting because it's a very deep narrative in politics, and yet he was able to explain it in 60 seconds or less. And I told them,
Mm.
how about we work on the storytelling from this perspective of how do you tell it in very, very short time, yet you don't sacrifice the essence of what your company does. And they loved it, and they said, let's do it. So that's how sort of this idea came in. And when you mentioned storytelling, I jumped at this idea and I suggested, how about we talk how I did it and share with the listeners how they also can do it. And perhaps this is something that can help them, especially in this very short span time economy we're living right now. So that's the idea.
Wow. Okay. So everything started on TikTok.
Yep.
That is interesting. I like to say TikTok, but I know it's I know it's not the case, but I always say, even during trainings or even when we communicate with people, oh, you're on TikTok. That sounds nice. I really know, like I know a little bit about the platform. We were testing with the platform. It's just that, and I'm sure that you can find so much great stuff in there already. It exploded, right? I mean, this platform exploded completely. No one expected that, and then all of those deals with the U.S. government and Oracle and all of those guys there. Anyway, so let's talk about the storytelling part. Forget about TikTok. Obviously, there that is the start.
Yeah. So what I wanted to talk today would be
Yeah,
two major things. One
let's
would be
go.
about your personal story, how you can nail that idea, and why is that important to be able to tell your story in a very short, concise way on a personal level,
Okay.
and of course the brand or the company story.
Okay.
Which one would you like to start with?
I mean, people are individuals, so I believe the listeners are first of all individuals. I think so. Let's start from the personal one.
Yeah, very good. So one idea is that in order for people to remember you, or people to really have a great impression of you, it is not about you telling them that you are hardworking, for instance, or you have
Mm,
these characteristics, or like basically your life story, because nobody, one, has time, and second, people are selfish at the end of the day. So one of the ways, of course, to be memorable, it's one, to come up with a story that actually tells those things for you. This is also something that comes from copywriting, when it's an element that is called show don't tell, meaning
yep.
don't tell someone that you are hardworking, for instance, or that you are bold, or that or you are brave, or you are creative,
Or you're a genius.
exactly. Show them. And in copywriting, that's something that you show them through an example. And in personal storytelling, there is a really cool exercise that summarizes this, is that when you think of yourself, you need to think of yourself as, okay, Boris is blank, 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 and is not blank. So you pick three characteristics, and then you think of three stories that will illustrate that. And the
Mm,
great test to show if you are able to do that is to just tell somebody that didn't meet you or didn't know that about you, and tell that short story, and see, do they leave with the impression that you have that characteristic. Let's say you are
mm,
creative, or you are bold. Can you explain and think of a short story from your personal or professional experience that shows this quality? Because a lot of times, when, for instance, when it comes to personal storytelling, when we go to an interview, let's say, or
yep.
when you go to a VC to tell them about your startup, it does come a time when you need to talk about yourself. So rather
Mhm.
than saying, that I am brave, or I like to take challenges, or I'm a team player, don't fall into the cliche trap, or just enumerating those things about you.
Yep.
Think of a short form of an example, of a short anecdote from your life, professional or personal, that illustrates that point about you. And that
Okay.
is going to be something that is going to help somebody even be able to memorize that about you. So nobody, if I tell you that, Boris, I am very creative, will
Yeah.
you remember this about me? No. But like, let's say a year from now, right? But if I'm telling you like this story about me, and how I was able to turn something around that was not like possible, and I use my creativity to do that, that story is going to help you remember about that quality of mine. And
Yep.
that, when it comes to storytelling, that's what it is. Even our meeting, is like both foodies, and that story is going to be tied up to the way we met each other. And that is, I know you being a foodie and somebody who loves great taste, great food,
Yeah.
and like
I agree.
so that's one of the things. So let's think about you. Tell me one thing that you would like people to know about you, like one quality or one trait of character that you would like people to think when they think of Boris. That's what they think, being a quality of your trait character.
I'll let you know one, just to relate to something that you are saying, because there are so many connection points. I just need to mention that a few episodes ago, Florian, I believe his family name is Muesk. Um, he is an author of multiple books on public speaking. He is going to be one of the speakers in the storytelling track, all of those things. And his session name is very how can I say it, compelling.
Yeah.
Let's put it this way.
Yeah.
It differentiates easily from everyone else's. But he actually did this. We were talking about storytelling and building the story of the talk, and he said something that sounds very close to what you were saying in regards to don't be generic, be specific,
Mm,
right? And he said that he is sick of hearing, "Hey, I'm creative, I'm great, I'm this, I'm that," or in regards to the companies that he works with, saying, "Hey, we are creative here, we are great, we care about the customers," all of those cliche, if you wish, things.
yeah.
And he always advises them, "Hey, be specific, like give us a specific example." And
Right.
this is exactly as you say, like give us a specific, like tell us a story when you show that you care about your customers, right?
Yeah.
That will illustrate the point, plus it's unique, which makes it memorable, right? He
Yeah.
was constant, and he actually took an onion, right? This,
Yeah.
yeah, and he said that onions has layers, right?
Mhm.
And he used that to kind of compare it with how specific you can be. Just go deeper and deeper in the same way that you work with the onion and you kind of cut the onion on the layers. Just go deeper and deeper, be specific and more specific, and then even more specific. Anyway, just wanted to mention that because when you hear somebody, and especially from the listener's perspective, I just want everyone who is listening to this one or who also heard Florian's episode to kind of think about if someone or if two people that I believe that you don't know Florian, right?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so for the you will meet him. He's a great guy. But but when two people that the only thing they do is work with people, other organizations to become better presenters, and both of them do that on a world class level, and both of them say the same or kind of very similar things. You have to question yourself and say, maybe there is something right in here. Maybe there is something in here that I need to think about, right? Like I really need to think about. So back to your question on a quality, or how did you phrase
Yeah, a
it?
quality or a trait of character, personal or professional.
Personal, professional. Uh, I think that what made us successful is that we are, and I am as the person who kind of leads this, if you wish, very empathetic with the customers, extremely empathetic with our customers, which everyone will say, by the way, right?
Okay, great. Yeah. And coming to that empathetic, right? So this is something, the difference between you saying that you are empathetic and
Mm,
a client or somebody who met you into saying that would be, one is when you say, and as given the example that you have those stories to base that on, but it's your personal conclusion. But it's more powerful when the listener comes to that conclusion by himself, not
yeah,
you telling him, but he coming to that conclusion by
yeah.
himself. So what would you say, pick one short example that you may recall from one of the probably hundreds of cases that you've had encounters with your clients that can illustrate that point of you being empathetic. Would you be able to recall an example like that?
I have a lot of those. The question is that I may not be completely, because people will say, and I'll give you an example. I have, I think, the perfect story for that one, but I just want to mention that when you say this and when you people do an exercise like this, which sounds like great exercise to do for everyone, like, and for no matter which role you are in, which industry you work in, etc., it may seem like a very easy question. It may seem like you'll figure it out very quickly and you have the finalized story and version and how it sounds for 5 minutes, but it's not going to be the case every single time, right?
I'm so
You,
glad you said this, because a lot of people don't know this, or they may not realize. But when it seems that somebody gives an answer off the cuff, like sort of looks like on the spot, it's actually, in order for it to be powerful, it's exactly what you said. You need to really think about it. So when it comes the opportunity for you to share that, it looks like you just went into your pocket and presented this example or story. However, you do need to think about it quite very carefully and considerably to
mm,
come up with this perfect story. Exactly what you said. It's
yeah,
not that easy. And I'm very glad you said it, because while it may look easy as when somebody shares it, that's what a pro would do, would make it look easy and like just like they randomly pick an example. But that's exactly a very deep personal exercise.
yeah. So to go back to, I just wanted to mention that because I always believe, like I see it every single day, that people just think that when they see, we recently even got feedback that somebody, one of our potential customers, thought that, listen to that one, thought that the slides that Steve Jobs used were
Mm.
not that big of a deal.
Ooh, I
And I was
love
like,
it.
and I was like, you sure? Like, why do you think so? And he was like, oh, they were nothing special. I'm like, you think so? Like, really? Were they really not something special? Or were they just so well done? They seemed and they worked like they were seamless,
Love it.
right? Interesting. By the way, I have to mention, and I'll go to the story then. Florian, because we recorded the episode with Florian yesterday, by the way. So it's today is the 2nd of December that we are recording. And yesterday on the first one, the 1st of December, we recorded with Florian. And Florian is not involved in slides, in design, etc. But sometimes he's being asked by his customers what he thinks about their slides, right?
Yeah.
And so yesterday we were talking with him and he said, hey, and I just, when somebody is about to tell you something, it's going to be very, very cool. And because I was on a camera with him during the podcast, he was like, you know what I do when people and when our customers and when my customers kind of get me angry in regards to slide design, and you can just feel the energy just ramping up that he's about to say something crazy cool. And I'm like, what do you do? And he was like, I always ask them. And that's more or less his kind of voice and how he presents. I always ask them when they show me a slide and when they ask me for an opinion, I always ask them, would would Steve Jobs approve that?
Oh, that is brilliant.
I was like, oh my God, that is such a brilliant question. And I was just like people, probably somebody who is going to listen to this one will be these guys, these boats, like Verineia boards, are completely crazy. Why are they so passionate about? Yes, we are. So stay with us. Would Steve Jobs approve it? Right? Think about that. Just let that sink. What a question, right? What a question. And I said to him, hey, I'll quote you on that for sure. And in the same way as he said, I only use that just in very specific cases, just like the top question that I can ask in a very critical moment, right? And when I heard it, I was like, wow, would Steve Jobs approve it? Damn, that is a question.
That's powerful. I
Yeah, back to the story. So in regards to the empathetic part of things. So let's see. So a year and a half ago, we had this case with one of our customers who is a bank, which are a bank, very big bank.
Yeah.
And they had to deliver a presentation, and the presentation was up very, very critical because the audience for that presentation was the owner of the bank. So they wanted to present to him, the C-level executives of the bank wanted to present to him the opportunities to grow the bank, because it was not a secret that he was aiming to fire probably more than 50 people in the company. And
Ooh.
so, yeah, and so it was very high stakes.
Yeah.
All of them as C-level executives were like very, very worried. What's going to happen? Can we make it? Because as you can imagine, every single time it's in the last moment, right? It's from the day for to can we do it tomorrow, right? It was a very complicated deck with a lot of data, a lot of things. And so at 8 p.m. Bulgarian time back then,
Yeah.
we had this call with them, and nothing, by the way, I don't know if you're hearing Zara, our dog, but
Yeah.
at 8 p.m., we had this call with the CEO, the CCO, the chief commercial officer, and everyone in their company. And we were showing what we have done up until then, and you can just feel it. You can just feel it. It was going wrong. Like something was not there. Something was missing. The communication was like a mess. Everyone was talking over each other. It was a mess. And I just felt that these guys are like now extremely worried. And I told them, guys, in order, like, if we have to do that, and that's 8 p.m., obviously out of office hours already. I told them, hey guys, if we have to do this, there is no way to pull this off up until tomorrow morning. We need to get, like, all of us have to be in the same room, all
Yeah.
of us. And so one of them, the CCO who runs the presentation, more or less, he was the owner of the presentation. He said, just let me know, where should I come? And we said, come to our office. So he took his bike. He's a motorbike maniac. So he came with his bike, obviously more than a minute, as you can see. That's why we were talking about, is that simple, etc. So he came to our office. We brought all of our designers, so 3 designers, me and Eva, who is our project manager, 5 people on our end and him on his end. So he was like very, very worried, very nervous, more or less the first few hours, because the presentation was not going to kind of happen, right?
Right.
And like up until probably 2 or 3 a.m., you can see that a guy who is a C-level, right?
Yeah.
CEO, chief commercial officer, continues to be super worried about because his head was on the table also. Like his head was going to be cut if that presentation was not going to be a success.
Right.
And then like 3 or 4 a.m. we started doing a lot of progress. We went outside to get food, Red Bulls, all of those things for the whole team. Along the way we were chatting, communicating. I was just asking, hey, what's on stake? Like, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? I was just trying to kind of make him feel comfortable, that we are going to kind of make it. Like, it's okay, it's fine, like we are going to make it. And so at around 6 or 7 a.m. we really did make it, really did make it. He was kind of stunned. We were all very energetic because of the Red Bulls,
Yeah,
obviously.
and imagine.
But at the end of the day, we made it and we sent it over. I remember that the presentation was even in, I believe, in 4:3 proportion,
Yeah.
because this Russian oligarch actually uses only an iPad to read his presentations. And when you are on an iPad, the resolution so that you see the presentation in full screen should be 4:3 proportion. So we did that in 4:3 so that it's a full screen on his tablet. It's insane stuff. But that's more or less what we have done for him and for the CEO and for the CFO who are also involved. Just trying to get into their shoes and seeing how nervous they are and asking ourselves, hey, how can we help those guys? Like, what does it mean for us to deliver an exquisite service to them and show them that we really care about what's going to happen with them, and we are here to help them. We are not against them. And so we did everything possible, like everything humanly possible on our end to make it happen. Thankfully it happened. So as you can imagine, after that, we every single project that they have comes to us, of course. But that was quite a journey, I would say, for the whole team here.
I love this story. And you see, even if it can be comprised a little bit for,
Of course it can.
for when you are telling it in other circumstances, but I absolutely love this story because when you say this story, when you share this story with the customer,
Yeah.
it's not anymore even needed for you to say that we care about our customers, or we really want our customers to succeed, or we are there for our customer 1000%.
Yeah.
It's no need for you to tell me that, because when you share this story as a customer, I am, my God, these guys are not knee deep, they are neck deep in this with me. I want
Yep.
these guys on my side. And that's why a story like this is going to be way more powerful than me reading somewhere on your website or somewhere even on a presentation,
Yep.
hearing that you care about your customers, you care
Completely
about,
agree.
so that's why, even so, of course, so even for this exercise, that's exactly what you said. It's like working on it, reducing its proportion, cutting a little bit of details here and there, but the essence remaining that you prove through this story, one of the most core principles of your business. And that's why this is extremely important to think of this story. So in this exercise that I mentioned, when you think, okay, how do I want my customers to see me on a professional level? So empathetic one being, so other may say, okay, I want them to see me super creative or super bold, with some actions. When you pick a story and exemplify that quality through a story, it is going to be way more powerful and way more memorable
Yep.
for an audience of 1 or 100. And I just wanted to follow up on an example, because a lot of times when we say storytelling, a lot of people think that it only can be on a very large scale, let's say company to company. And I
Mm.
just, as you were sharing this story, I remember a story for a client of mine that actually she was applying for a company where
Okay.
she wanted to join a different VC fund. So it was still high stakes, but it was a story of one, meaning that she was one that wanted to get this job, so to say. So she was changing positions, and she was aiming a little bit higher than at her previous job. So we
Mm.
included an element of storytelling in her email. So we didn't change anything in her CV or cover letter that was
Okay.
a formality, so to speak, but we included the element of storytelling in the email. So
Okay.
when you think about, I mean, as you said, you shared that you're also, in a frenzy of hiring right now. So I'm sure you've seen this quite a lot of time. A lot of emails, are this very generic, like, I hope this email finds you well. I'm writing to respond to your job posting for X position, my name, like this very generic kind of things. And
Yep.
then they go into this very, again, like cliche ways of, I believe my skills from my MBA. Then they mention a few companies names, that VC fund, that VC fund, or I had that position, I think it will make me the perfect fit for your team. I mean, I think we've seen this format 100 times, right? And
Yep.
this is not going to help you, no matter how brilliant like your CV is, an email like that is not going to help you. So I suggested her to include and format her email based on the storytelling format, which means you grab the attention of that person from the beginning, which is how stories work. Like, you grab the attention right away, then you make them interested and invested in it. So and then you unravel the storytelling formula or like loop. And the way it was like the name of that person that she was applying for. Thankfully she knew the name, so it was Jason. And it was, Jason, thank you for opening this email. It was like right away from the, not to mention that the subject line was like, Jason, stop, read this before you hire anyone for the VC position in your fund, in your new open fund. So it was like this very bold, attention grabbing subject line. Then it was like diving right away, like opening unconventional. And it was, something along the lines like I bet you have hundreds of people for this position, that are super excited. But I am sure that in this striking, noisy world, that I need to do anything to grab your attention, because you don't have time for boring, nor do I. So it was like this opening line that was right away. And then grabbing the attention. And then she dived into the ideas of, when you talk about the skills, it was very important to have this sales approach, because in order to understand that specific industry for the fund, it was important to have the sales skills. So she started, instead of saying I'm very good at sales because I had previous sales experience or whatnot, she was like, I'm obsessed with anything related to sales. My favorite book is The Challenger Sale. So in this one line, she told more about her sales skills and about her sales obsession, as opposed to, being just generic and saying that I'm good at sales and I have been in a sales position from this year to this year at X company, right? Then they, as VCs, they get a ton of flow deals, and they have tons of data, and you need to be very efficient in this. And one of the things, the way we framed it was, I have a knack for efficiency. I speak fluent Slack and Asana. Like these are like two tools, exactly. But it was, like the way of not saying that I have a lot of experience in using very well Slack or whatnot. It was like this very pointy, sharp taglines, almost like a tagline, that grabs your attention. And it was in that sense, something that would grab the attention. And lastly, we said that I read everything about, and that it was like the VC fund. I cannot say the name because, it's, it's an NDA, but let's call it, I don't know, the X Space, right? I have read every X Space company article. And this one in particular got me fired up. And then she sort of that. So not only was she, in saying, showing the excitement for this position, but also helping her to stand out through this element of storytelling. So storytelling could be anything from a company to a company, like the example that you gave, and the many other ones, but it can be very seamlessly incorporated from anything from a cold email to your LinkedIn bio, where a lot of people go the cliche route, whereas you can go the storytelling route, where you say, okay, let's say it's it's somebody who wanted to work again, like in VC fund or whatnot. So you say, since I was a child, I had an obsession with this and this. And then I sort of developed or evolved into following my passion and did Y and X. And my dream is to, do X and Y, So you basically use a very simplified, stripped down storytelling formula in any possibility you can, from a cold email to an introduction that you have at a, at a networking event or in a break room Zoom meeting at a conference, or even in any other circumstances. So that's why storytelling, and that's where the storytelling on the personal level, it's equally important as to as we transition now to the company storytelling. But really wanted to give a few examples here and there on your personal example, and like on this one example that popped out into my mind, how important is to master the storytelling and not seeing it only something that is a very high level to be shared necessarily from a stage to only an audience of hundreds of people.
Yeah, completely agree with you. And by the way, I cannot wait for Cannot wait for I don't know if you know his work, but Kendall Heaven, who is coming to also the conference. He's going to have a full-blown workshop on storytelling, and also has a session on it. He's looking at storytelling from the research perspective. Like, if you don't know his work and his two books, Story Proof and Story Smart, I think is the second one. Uh, if you haven't seen those, they will blow your mind. I mean, they will blow your mind. It is insane stuff. I mean, it is insane. So if you, for everyone who hasn't read, like hasn't seen those books, I cannot recommend them more. If you are caring about storytelling, or if you are like passionate about the topic for one reason or the other. But yet again, I just want to re-emphasize like coming up with those stories, because I believe, Veriner, you would agree that everyone has those, right?
Yes.
Everyone has those, but it takes time to kind of make them seem and make them sound like they're just an integral part of you. Like, just, if I have to go back and revisit that story, I need to listen to the recording now and stop and write some ideas. How can I cut that up until, let's say, 60 seconds? And everyone can do it, right? Everyone will be able to do it. It just takes time. No, it just takes a, like an effort from our end to make that happen, because, as you said, sometimes it looks like it's just, so people make it so easy, but it's so much work behind the scenes, right? It's not just, oh, I have this idea, oh, and here is my story, oh, and oh wow, this is the first time I'm saying it and it's already 50 seconds. So that never happens. Like, come on. Like, that never happens in real
Yeah,
world.
I
Yeah.
am nodding my head as you're saying this, because exactly what you said about the slides from Steve Jobs, the more
Mm,
natural and seamless they are, the more work goes into it, be it from a visual point of view, an
yeah.
audio point of view, or any other format. So the more natural and seamless and easy flowing format it is, the more work went into it, the more it was stripped down from it. It was probably a 10 pager before it became a 5 pager and ended up being a 1 pager or a half one,
Yeah, absolutely agree.
or
Like,
so yeah. So that's why, like, the personal stories are equally important, but as at the end of the day, we're all, one way or another in the professional world. So I think it's very important to help everyone also dive into the very short, the one that actually initially the idea was for the podcast, this one
mm,
storytelling for
yeah,
companies that is absolutely
yeah,
crucial to when it comes to how to tell the story of your company in a one liner.
yeah. So let's move on. I can add to that part so much. Like, I always remember, have you, like, we always work with our customers, especially like on so many levels, but the one thing that I can relate to what you're saying in regards to that work that needs to happen, so that everything seems like, when you present it, it's so clear and so on point, right? Is that we, for example, spend a lot of time with them to craft the end of their presentations, because I'm so sick of seeing and hearing presentations that end with something like, well, I think, yeah, that's it. Thanks for, like, when somebody says that, I'm like, kill that person. Like, come on,
And kill
what
me
is
too
this?
in the process as well. Please shoot me now. Yes.
Yeah, kill that person. I mean, and when we present, hey, just do a summary, one sentence, can summarize what you have said. Go with the call to action next. Like, what do you want the audience to do? And then tell them why they need to do that, right? And when you say that, and when you give them an example afterwards, hey, so these are the tools, these are the principles of design that we talked about today, X and Y. Now I want you to, the next time you're building your presentation, take what you learned today and apply it. Because if you do, your presentations will be way more effective, not just for now, but for the future. Thanks again. Have a great conference or whatever. How hard is that to pull this off? And yet every single time when we start to work with Deloitte or with Microsoft, it seems like something that's that simple is not that easy. You know, in order for you to write those three sentences, it takes time, right? It takes time. But when you do it for the audience, it just seems like you're so well prepared and you made it look so easy, right? It's just one of the best feelings out there. Anyway, company level. You said company level.
I am right there with you. It's the difference between, taking a knife that is not even sharp and trying to cut something, and you're just like, eventually you get it done, but you're just like dragging it. It's the first example what you gave, as opposed to taking a hot knife that goes through the butter as smooth, and easy as soon. It's the second example that you gave, when you have this like very clear, concise, idea of the end that is smooth, seamless, and natural and professional. And that's why it's very important, but it takes a lot of work. And I'm very glad that you are stressing this point out, making it so important, because unfortunately we still have so many bad presentations.
Oh, yeah. Let's go to the comment, because it will be 2 hours of us speaking about.
Exactly.
So, let's go for the company level storytelling. What happens there?
In here, it's very interesting that the one-line storytelling part, it's on one hand very hard to nail, because you think, how do I put my company that is like, I don't know, for 10 years on the market to be, fitted in one liner? And on the other hand, when you have the formula, it's so damn easy that it's almost like striking you, I was not, aware of this before. So in very, very interesting way, it's how you explain your business in 30 seconds or, like a minute or less than a minute, in making it clear and interesting. That's the premise of it that we go, because both you and I would work with so many, brilliant businesses, and yet they are so bad at explaining what they do. They would ramble on and on until you, at the end, you are not even sure what this company is doing, or like they do so many things that you are even more confused than you started. So the formula is very easy, and we're going to go step by step. There are 3 main ideas to it.
Okay.
So first, you share in very simple terms what is the problem that most people have in the business area that you are dealing with. The next step, you offer a very simple solution. And the next one is, what is the happy ending that the customer gets out of that? It is so that simple. And we're going to go through all 3 of this to see an example. And the one that actually, because Zara was just in the background, we'll take a pet food company just to explain it. So the first would be that, following this formula, because all the time, for examples, it's much more clear. When you have a puppy, like you have Zara, so you care for her a lot, right? So as a pet owner, right, you think, what is the problem that a lot of people face in this? Pet owners are worried, what are their pets really eating, right? Like, what is the nutrition that they're getting? That's the problem, right? The second one is explain. So that would be the first, the most people have this problem. So in this example, is most pet owners are worried, what are their pets really eating? The next one, offer a solution as a business that you cater to that idea. So we source our food from local trusted vendors. And this is one that addresses the very, very simple. So we are really stripping it down to the most simple way. So it's talking about some locally trusted vendors that where you source your food from. And the third one is the result, which would be that ensures that your pet stays happy and healthy. So let's take this in one. So if you are a pet company that sells nutrition for animals, in this case for dogs, it will be the way you talk about your business in a one-liner, without, and this way you strip all the unnecessary elements, would be in this way, following this formula. Pet owners are worried, most pet owners are worried, what are their pets really eating? We are sourcing our food from local trusted vendors. So you are sure that your pet stays happy and healthy. So in here, with this one-liner, you are able to communicate directly to the problem that your ideal customer is facing. The second, you give the very simple solution. And then later on, you will talk about all the nutritional benefits, all on and so forth. But how do you communicate that in a one powerful liner? And that is the example that came just from our live interaction. But the example, for instance, the client that I was mentioning before, it was the investment fund that they are working, with a lot of investment or a lot of things that are a little bit less known or a little bit less understood. So being this investment platform, I will
Yeah.
pick from what we work with them. It was following the same exact formula that you can, of course, add to the more complex your business is. But most people keep hearing about stocks and see cryptocurrency rising in price.
Okay.
That's the first part, right?
Yeah.
The second part is, so that was the problem that people in their niche are facing. The second one is present a super simple solution.
Okay.
So we created a fun, easy to understand platform with all investment stock and cryptocurrency information that you need. And what is the end solution that people get? Instead of rambling and getting confused by stock information, you are secured with every investment that you made. So this creates something that, be it at a conference where you meet somebody and you have just like this coffee break where, oh, what do you do? What do you do? You don't have the time of going to all the details and jargon of the industry. Or when somebody would become your customer, oh, wait a second. I keep hearing about this cryptocurrency and Bitcoin going up and down, but I feel very confused about it. And the more you want these people as your clients, but this is something that they only heard barely, or keep hearing like these speculations, or keep seeing, this very a lot of information that is a lot of jargon that they don't understand, and they would rather say, I would rather better stay away from it and keep my money safe, right? So you, by taking and eliminating all the jargon and following this very easy 3-step formula, are able to drag through it any single business, from the most simple, as I said, local store, to a very complex financial system, to explain what do you do, so any regular customer can understand what you do and eventually become your customer.
Problem, simple problem, simple explanation of the problem, simple, very straight to the point solution, and then how would you feel when you get the result? How would you?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So let's say,
Yeah.
what are the most people, when it comes to presentation, what is it that they are facing? What's their big? Let's think in terms of your business. Most people struggle with, what would you say?
In my initial thought, and here we go again in regards to how complicated it is actually, because we mentioned the word simple twice already, and when it's simple, it's actually hard. So
Yeah.
So when my initial thought, when I said it, but it doesn't work obviously, is that most people that we work with struggle with their presentations, right? That is my initial thought. However, I'm not sure that gives you the proper context. What exactly are they struggling with, so that we can define the problem, right? So
Right.
for everyone that's listening, we're brainstorming out loud. We haven't rehearsed, prepared. We haven't done anything like this.
No, I'm just throwing it at you.
Yeah. So, by the way, I'm very tired. So thank you for doing that. So most people struggle. Let me think about that. I would say that if we have to define this, I would say most people struggle with what it really takes to create, design, and deliver a truly effective presentation.
Very good. I like it. And that,
Yeah.
exactly, that's your starting point. Of course, like when it becomes your one-liner storytelling part, of course, it's something that you've rehearsed, looked, reworked hundreds of. But at the first glance, this is very good that you said, right?
Yeah.
Let's see now then, what would be the simple solution?
The simple solution is that, let's see here how we can move on from there. Let's brainstorm it again out loud. I would say that we take care of all of those three aspects, right? The story, the design, and the delivery, meaning how they prepare, how they design it, how it looks, and how they deliver it. So we take care of all of those three aspects for you.
Very good. I love it.
It may work, but it could be better. I just feel that it could be better, but let's move on because we don't have all the time on the planet.
Exactly. The idea is just to go through the exercise, not to make it perfect on the first
Okay, got it. Understood.
Exactly. And the end result, what would be?
At the end result is that our customers get out there, and so let me try to phrase that correctly in one sentence. the end result is that our customers receive a presentation that makes them feel confident in what they're presenting and know that they are going to achieve the goal that they are chasing.
Very good. So you see, of course, given that, like
And
this is
that's when
something.
I'm tired. You see?
No,
That's when I'm tired.
exactly. But you see, the beauty of a very simple formula is, even if it's the first time you see and hear this formula, even if
Mm.
you are dead tired, you still get great result and make someone understand. Imagine
Yeah.
what you can do with it when you really sit down and work on it.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
we are discarding like these basic formulas and really look into finding these very complex formulas, and we have them. That's why I said, like, I've had workshops where it was a 3-hour workshop on working on a story, of
Yep.
an entire company and whatnot. But this is not the essence of it. The essence is what you can tell me in 1 minute that even somebody that never heard of presentations or why are they even important, how they
Yeah.
can even say, damn, I need this.
Yeah. I mean, that is absolutely something that I believe everyone can do for themselves, for themselves when they have like a few hours to spend, because having those both personal and company level stories, let's start with the personal one, right?
Yeah,
Everyone has to have that one, right? And as you said, you can use that in so many places. It's not just presenting, it's just plain and simple communication, right? So I think that everyone should spend some time thinking about, hey, how can I do the personal story for myself, and try it, like try and see how it goes, because I promise you that, as you can see, we are discussing this like 5 or 10 minutes for 3 simple sentences, and we
exactly.
are very far away from coming up with that story that should be 1 minute long, so that
And
when they
that's
feel
not the
it.
point, because exactly what you said, it
Yeah.
is a very long process of actually working on it, and it's not the point, of this one time 1 hour
Yeah.
discussion to nail the perfect one. But I really wanted to show you actually through this on air exercise, without you ever seeing it, how
Yep.
powerful this one liner can become. And not only, but this can be something that will sell by yourself your company without you actually coming across very pushy or very
Yep.
self-promoting. It's very easy. You dive into a very simple problem with a very easy solution with a great outcome that the customer actually need, that they
Yep.
even didn't know that they might need. And that
Yeah.
comes with the personal storytelling as well, because a lot of people are thinking that this is a very high level, only when you come to a C level, let's say,
Mm.
position is when you need to start learning public speaking skills or storytelling skills, and that is not true. This
Yeah.
is actually what is going to get you through the door into getting into those high level positions, into those opportunities. Because when you have people that are equally qualified like you, that have the same experience like you, the only way for you to stand out
Yeah.
is to come up with a better story.
Yeah, that is absolutely right. I mean, everyone, especially for the, how can I say it, higher level positions and the most boutique companies and most interesting positions, is constantly trying to figure out how to differentiate themselves so that they stand out from everyone else. Like I remember when Eva, I don't know if you know her, my girlfriend, when she was applying, now she works with us obviously, but um, when she was applying for a very big company here in Bulgaria that later on became, they were purchased by another organization. So but they were one of those, sexy organizations to work for in Bulgaria. So when she was applying, she was like 21, just 21. And she was applying for the HR role. It's not a senior director partner role, but still the HR, like not junior HR, but the HR role in that organization. And she
Yeah,
was 21. She had this internship in Nestle before that. And I said, hey, in order for you to do that, and bear in mind, like this is 7 or 8 years ago, like that is okay, 6 or 7. So 6 or 7 years ago, I told her, if you want to even have a chance, right, to
yeah,
compare with the big girls, big boys there, which are probably 25, 30-year-olds, 35 for that role, you have to do something that no one else is going to do, right? I mean, there is no other way for me to put it, right? So what we ended up doing is we went outside. Again, this is 7 years ago, not today, 7 years ago, we went outside and we recorded a professional video for less than a minute, why she believes, why she thinks she's the best fit for that organization, right? 7 years ago. Take that in mind. So that one, by the way, got her through all of the interviews up until the latest, like the last interview. So she went through all of them just because of that video, you know, and
Fantastic.
just
First,
because no one else who got interviewed sent this company a video that's less than a minute, where for 1 minute you have exactly what you need to say to grab their attention, keep it there, and kind of stick in their brains, you know, make a mark in their brains. So I completely agree with what you're saying, that everyone has to think about how can they differentiate so that they get what they want to get, to be honest.
exactly. So, first of all, when you mentioned Eva, I am deeply offended. If you ask me if I know her, she's a superstar and we've met in Stockholm. So, yes,
Oh,
I
that
know
is the
her.
cake.
Yes,
That
and
is the
I
cake.
am
I'm
deeply
sorry.
offended that you even ask if I know her. Of course, I know her and I
Yeah,
love her.
that is
She's
true. And I remember.
amazing, amazing. And I'm very glad you shared this story because she even actually told me a little bit about that story when we met for dinner then with you
Really?
as
Okay.
well. Yes, for the HR part. But I absolutely love it, and that comes to the idea closing with the personal story of that client of mine.
Mm,
She got the job, even if it was something she never did it, in this VC fund that was just around investing only in AI technology startups. So
mm,
it was something outside of her interest, but because she came in with that really innovative way of grabbing the attention and through a storytelling loop format email, she grabbed the attention, she got the interview. Of course, it was important to have the skills, but when everybody else is on the same level, she got picked up because she was the one that was the memorable one, is the one that stays in their attention, either through the example that you gave of Eva's 1 minute, powerful
yeah,
story, or the one that I mentioned. It's very, very important. And that's why,
yeah,
as a conclusion, what I would like everyone not to try, but to do. Because
yeah,
when you try, you put it for later and you forget it or you think it's not for you. To do.
yeah.
One exercise for the personal story. Think of 3 things that you want people to know you as, meaning
Mm,
3 qualificatives, 3 things that you want yourself to be characterized, and think of 3 examples that show that. Not
mm,
tell that you are bold or that you are empathic or you are creative, but that show that quality of yours and strip them down and make them super short that when it comes to tell us about yourself, you are able in 3 sentences to tell about 3 quality of yours, not naming them, but only showing them through a clear example. So think
mm,
of this on a personal example. And on the company side, work on the exercise of describe your company in this very, very simple 3 steps formula, and think of your story company in this way. First, most people struggle with, and then describe the problem that the people in your niche, in your industry are struggle with.
mm.
So that's the formula. Most people struggle with and describe the problem. So we created and then describe the solution in a very, very
Yeah,
simple format. So you then can and describe the
yeah.
ideal result of them implementing this service or product of yours. And this is the super short, sweet idea that people can work with. And I'm super happy, even if somebody listening to the podcast would like to send me their 3 story short line, the ones that they characterize either their company or themselves. I'll be very happy for them to send me an email, and I will be happy to give them feedback on that, because this is a
Yeah.
lot of work, as you emphasize quite a few times. So I'll be happy to see and give them feedback, because this is an important and crucial quality to have for both personal and business sides.
Yeah. Where should they send that email to?
I am glad you asked. So the email would be at hello
Yeah.
at speech-architects.com. If
Yeah.
we have some show notes, we can
We
include
will.
the email in the show notes, and I'll be more than happy. The
Yeah.
funny thing is, when somebody offers to help, I assure you, 99% of the people are not going to send it.
Yeah, I know.
That is the funny thing. And then the 1% that's actually going to send it, it is the ones that are going to succeed no matter what comes their way, no matter if
I
it's a
I
global
cannot
pandemic.
like that one. I so much agree with. It's And I can tell you at least 3 stories exactly related to that. But yeah, the next time.
The
I
next
so much agree with you, like so badly. Yeah.
Exactly. And that's how you do, in a very short and sweet way, your personal and corporate or startup story in a way to create a powerful and meaningful memory and to stand out no matter how bad or how high the competition and the bar is for you. You're always going to stand out when you work on this storytelling technique.
Yeah. Verineia, that was for an improv on our end. That was great. I mean,
I'm happy that you jumped on it, and no matter how tired you are and overwhelmed by so many things that happens and are on your plate right now, you played along, and I'm very happy that you joined me in the exercise.
I mean, you know me, I don't care about that. I'm just saying it out loud just because of this, for the sake of fun. I to be honest, like if I was constantly trying to think of whether or not I'm tired at all, I don't know, and waiting for a moment when I'm not tired by something so that I do something else. That is, I don't know when that's going to happen at all.
Exactly. That's not gonna happen
I
anytime
really
soon.
don't.
Exactly.
I really don't know. I get used to live this way already, but it's so much
It's
fun
in
for
your
me.
blood.
Yeah, because when you do what you like to do, I mean, I don't feel like anything, like it's not the same. Anyway, so hello at speech-architects.com. Obviously, Speech Architects is the company, the agency that you run. People should go and check it out. And obviously your session that's coming up on the 16th of April, 17th of April at Present to Succeed. Again, looking forward to that one. Looking forward to people, hopefully more people sending you their 3-liners or 1-liner or stories. And yeah, I mean, thanks for shooting the email and making us both do that. It was super fun, and I really believe that it will be of great help to everyone who is going to listen to that at some point. Thanks for staying this 1 hour with me, and thanks for being the first guest that repeated. I mean, that's great.
Thank you for having me. I always love chatting with you.
Everyone follow Verineia, her work, what she's doing. Everything is linked in the show notes and in the blog post where you can find the episode. Obviously, you can find her. I believe she would agree with that you can also find her on LinkedIn. She's very active there. So we will link your LinkedIn profile also for that one. And for those of you who still don't know about Present to Succeed, it's presenttosucceed.com. Will be the biggest premium presentation skills event in the world. Has never ever happened before, so take a look at it. And for those of you who still don't know who we are and whose podcast you are listening to, it's 356labs.com. We're a presentation agency, not 365 Labs. Verineia, many people say it's 365 Labs, but it's not. It's 356labs.com. Check us out on every platform, like any platform, our website, any social media, and see what we're doing. Thanks again for joining us, Verineia, and thanks for everyone who listened to this one. See you in the next one.